Everyone has a bright light inside of them that deserves to be seen by the world. That's why it's time to shine the light on the extraordinary who are accomplishing phenomenal things. This is the Shine Out Loud Show with Lillian Ogbogo.
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever in the world you are, and welcome to our Saturday special of the Shine Out Loud Show. And today we have a woman who wears many hats. She is a celebrity beauty expert, a branding specialist, mentor, motivational speaker, author, CEO, wife, mom to 4 boys, and a bonus stepdaughter. I am talking about the woman who is on a mission to collaborate, create, and dominate, the one and only Coleen Otero. Coleen, thank you for being on the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, you're so welcome. Woman, let's get this out there. How do you get time to sleep? You do so many things.
Oh my goodness, sleep is a priority. It is on the list. It's top 3.
Wow.
But yeah, I really am not playing. Like, sleep is a priority for me. Rest is very important. I'm a thinker. I'm actually an introvert. It is too funny. People on my team are always sending me introvert jokes. But I need my alone time. I need my rest time. And so it is of high priority. But it takes a team, It takes having the right people around you. So that you can really, detach, in those moments and regroup and kind of process and just really see where you are in the big scope of things. So that's how I do it.
Oh, okay. And this is true. A team is crucial. You can't do it without a team. But we'll touch more on that in a while. But I want to talk about, we mentioned that you wear many hats, and one of them being a celebrity beauty expert, and that under that umbrella is a stylist. How did you find yourself a stylist to celebrities?
So I ended up in the beauty industry right after I got out of high school. I did hair from the time I was 12 years old. And so I believe because of social media, when Facebook first got started and the ability with reality TV show and people being more open to you having a stylist, traveling, having someone in their home, it just shifted my entire business. So I would get people to reach out to me to say, hey, I'm working on this job. I saw your work online. I would love for us to partner up on this job. Working with other makeup artists, working with a lot of leaders in my community, a lot of pastors' wives that are on TV or doing reality shows or doing, women are doing a lot these days,
Yes.
And so you never know who you're going to meet, or because I never signed to an agency. A lot of people that I know that work a lot of movie sets and gigs and things of that nature are signed to agencies that help get them these gigs. And I've been friends to those people, I've never signed, and it just happened. Honestly, it's just a divine connection all the way around that allowed me to meet Sherry Shepherd and work with her, allowed me to work on Bravo's Thicker Than Water, allowed me to work with DJs, commissioners, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, that actually sounds really amazing. The fact that you did it very organically, and you did that, but what eventually drew you to branding as an industry?
So I believe it was a natural progression. As I mentioned, with technology increasing and everything growing and people getting more recognition and followers and subscribers and, being able to create a brand, it was like, wow, this was happening for so many people in my circle because we were literally right on the brink of when technology was just exploding. as far as
Okay.
social media, within the last 8 years. And so literally, it happened again organically to where people would reach out. Who does your flyers? Who does your memes? Who does your hair? Who does, because it just got to a place where so many people were like wanting to take the time to be strategic with how they showed up in the world. And so I did it quietly for a very long time. I would, come to just do their hair. And then it's like, can you pick out this outfit for me? Which one
Right.
should I wear? Then it was like, oh my goodness, I have to shoot for a book cover. What's your thoughts? And then it turned into me becoming this creative director for projects. It went beyond the salon chair. It went beyond their closet. It went
Right.
to, what should I say? How should I word it? How do I share this story? I don't want to give too much, or I don't want to give too little. And so I started to really just deep dive into more marketing courses myself. Education doesn't end with school
Oh no.
at all. So I began to educate myself and surround myself with people that worked in the industry. And so from there, I began to just work in the dark, more and more and more. And eventually I went ahead and launched my new hashtags, which were beauty branding and business. And so that's how it began to unfold.
Okay, and that is a really interesting unfolding because you touched on people coming to you for your book cover. Now, in your book, because you have two books out at the moment, you use an expression, "I love it enough to sell it." Can you expand on this a bit more? What's the reason behind this term?
Yeah, so a lot of times I'm a church girl, so I literally grew up around the age of 16 and in my junior year of high school, and I remember just wanting to go to church. I did not grow up years prior going to church, and so
Right.
I was in church and just really learning more about myself and wanting to be one with God and understand what that relationship was like. And so I began to just kind of realize in my time of prayer, because when I came out with that line, I was really going through a tough time financially. I was going through a tough time in business. I was not quite sure what was going on and why my relationship with God that I was so committed to, how could it take me through such a painful moment? How could it take me through such a time of great loss? And so I remember when I was looking to just really do something new and fresh and really seeking God about it. And I was a consumer. I wanted to purchase certain things. I wanted to look a certain way. I'm in the beauty industry. It has to be this. It has to be that. And I remember when I was going through financially, he says, if you love it enough, I need you to sell it. And I was like, excuse me? Wait a minute, and it was a mindset shift that I really had to go through from being this consumer, this person that really wanted to just have this, have that, drive this, live here, to being able to say, no, be willing to part with it. Be willing to make money first before you spend it. Be willing
Right.
to invest, be willing to save, be willing. So I remember going through just learning that even during, there were so many different layers to it. So I had to kind of give you a little backstory of it, because even with the whole prosperity message, it was such a, if you just sow in 90 days, the God's going to do this. And I'm like, well, that's not working for me. I'm not sure if something's wrong, because it's like the things, the money, also the seed, the time, the talent, the treasure seems to just leave my life. It doesn't seem to come back. I'm trying to figure out what is the recipe here. And so I remember literally it was in a time of just crying out, like, what am I doing wrong? I feel like I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. I'm serving you. I'm here with my family. I'm supporting my husband's vision in the middle of it, being obedient with the things you've told me to do, raising my children. What in the world am I doing wrong? And it was that small change that shifted everything.
Okay. And that came from if you love it enough to sell it. That's a powerful change.
It
And
is.
that's a
It
very
really
powerful change. And, we look at what you do and along the lines of being a brand specialist. And everybody talks about branding and be on brand. But you talk about a brand promise. What is a brand promise?
Oh my goodness. When I describe what it means to build a brand and to be a brand, I kind of have to lay that foundation quickly, because a brand is not just what you see, but it's what you feel. It's the experience. It's in everything. It's the essence of an organization. It's the spirit of a thing. And so it's what people say about your business and your brand, how it made them feel,
Right.
so that's the brand promise now says that I am consistently going to provide this experience for my customers, for those that are a part of my organization, even for my employees, because they are all a part of this brand experience, a part of this brand promise. And so literally it's from the inside out. And so I think about brands like Apple. I think about brands like Starbucks. I think about all these different brands that are out there and what their brand promise is, and the consistency that so heavily is relied upon. When I like certain cars, I still like what I like. That's one thing. And God didn't say I couldn't have the things that I love, but He told me that they could not be idols in my life. And so if He
Right.
told me to release them, I have to be able to do so. If He tells me to sell it, I should be able to do so. He says, put this house on the market tomorrow, I should be able to do so. But ultimately, the brand promise is just that. It's being able to deliver the outcomes that you say you deliver, the things you say you stand by. My Apple device, it needs to turn on. It needs to not glitch. It needs to be able to sync with my phone when I want to do certain things. I need to be able to airdrop these files to my laptop. When I'm working with employees, I hire employees that have Apple products, because we all work when we're in a mastermind together. I need to be able to quickly airdrop something to you. If I'm out somewhere and I need to see something, I don't have time to download another app to be able to FaceTime you and see you. I want to be able to just FaceTime you. Like, these are things. And if I have to provide that for the employee, then I'll do so. That's my brand. That's part of our culture. It's part of how we operate. And a brand promise is just that. It's you delivering consistently on your promise to your customer, to your employee, to yourself.
Right.
You know?
That's a different take on a brand promise, and I definitely like that brand promise. And it's so you're saying it's not the logo, it's not the colors, it's none of that. It's they make part of it, but it's everything you do. So essentially, your brand needs to be who you are 24/7.
Absolutely. There are different wireless headphones that look just like Apple's. you know but there's something about that experience. The store, I'm not too far from a mall, and there's there's no pun intended, there are people that love Microsoft and there's people that love Apple, but when they're on the same strip, the same aisle in the mall, and when Apple is always packed, it is always jam packed, literally, and it's almost as if the people love to walk in that store. They love going in that store looking for the person in that blue t-shirt and those khakis, and they love touching the items. They love it. So that's part of their brand experience. So we have to think about that when we're developing our businesses, and developing what is the brand. What we have to strategize and sit and say, wow, what does it look like? What does it smell like? When people walk to your space, what does it smell like? I love the odors in the certain hotels that I go to. I love JW Marriott. I love Ritz-Carlton. I love the scent of the foyer when you walk in. That is done purposely.
Yeah. It makes
Right?
you, yeah, it makes you feel a certain way. And there was a phrase I heard yesterday at a conference that says there's a reason why the Ritz-Carlton does not have its furniture from IKEA. It's an experience.
Absolutely.
So we're going to stick to Brandon for a bit, and you know Brandon inside and out. So my question here is, what do people do wrong when they first set out their Brandon mission?
Yeah. And, I have to just literally echo what we were just talking about, because people don't take the time to just really map out their process, that experience that they're providing the customer. We just literally glaze over, yeah, I'm selling, body oils. Okay. What does that look like when we come to your website? Is it easy to find the body oils that you are selling? What does that engagement look like? If someone has an issue and needs to reach out to your organization or your company, what happens when they dial the number? What happens when they click this button? Like, we have to walk through the steps and the process to make it easy for customers to create, to be able to purchase. So a lot of times it's just, people will glaze right over all of that, really not give it much thought, but put themselves out there, get a business card and a logo, or, a Etsy page or whatever. They'll go right to the end, and then the customer's complaints help them work out the kinks later. You know what I mean? So I just say, let's slow down for a second, and let's walk through your process. And sometimes people get so overwhelmed with that. You'd be so surprised at how often women are so overwhelmed with me saying, let's look at the back end. How are you going to do so and so and so? Okay, where does this go? Are your accounts separated? Are you going to be able to keep record in a very, clean manner, so that your accountant, your CPA can take that information and do what they need to do? Like, those are the things people don't always think about. And so that's why I wrote the book.
Right.
I had to because you can have a brand and not have a business. The business are the systems that are in place that support the brand.
And this is crucial. And you talk about women getting confused, because you know what? Let's be fair. If we are both on different sides of the Atlantic, if we both right now pick up a stone and kind of, metaphorically throw it at the internet, there is so much information out there. So it is a bit overwhelming. There is so much to kind of sift through. And then half the time you're watching other people do it and make it look, oh yeah, like it's really simple. And you're thinking, I must be the broken one in this system. So I can sympathize with the confusion.
Absolutely. So can I. That's why I wrote the book, because it's true. We are not lacking in talent, right? We are not lacking in gifts and just being the charisma, especially I think about my audience is predominantly women of color, Black women and women of color. And so, oh my goodness, we are meticulous about how we look, and we're very much into how we arrive on the scene. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, we are gifted and anointed and can sing and can dance and of course, we're more than that, right? We're executives, we're great bookkeepers, we're savvy strategists. There are so many different things that we do. And so it's like, we want to just do that.
Yes.
So it takes relationship. It takes a team. It takes someone stronger. If you are creative and you're charismatic, it takes someone that's a little more analytical, someone that's a little bit more about bookkeeping, and someone that could care less about the audience or this or that. They want to just keep your books. They want to make sure that is all put together. Someone strong administratively. And so we have to build our team according to our weaknesses.
But and you say that, and that comes from wisdom. that comes from a lot of wisdom, and wisdom comes from making all the mistakes, which I'm sure you did in the very early beginning. Because half the time when we want to hire a team, we get into that space as women, and I'm speaking generally here, that we want to hire someone who's just like us, and then we get people who are just like us, and we wonder why it's a mess.
Yeah, and I'll be transparent. I honestly, not to say I did not make mistakes, because I really did, but I watched the mistakes of other people. So I made sure that I served and interned and worked around women that were building great things. I learned from their mistakes.
Right.
And so as a result of being able to be in the trenches with amazing women and learn, I've had leaders that were more introvert. I had leaders that were more extrovert. I had leaders in marketplace. I had leaders in ministry. And so I served very closely and learned a lot. And so I learned a lot of what not to do, and I learned a lot of what to do. I am someone that I open my operations. I open up, where I am, what some of the issues I have going on. I am so open to counsel because I don't like falling. I don't like scrapes. I try my best to avoid it as much as possible. I know there are some things I still have things I'm learning, of course, but I recognize that there are people that have done it, been there, got the t-shirt, and I need to be very humble and ask for advice. I need to be, and I'm telling you, that has been the biggest reason for my success. I did not launch too soon. I'm in my 40s. So I've served for years, almost decades, before really putting myself out there. That's why I'm okay with developing in the dark. I'm okay with working things out prior to launch. But unfortunately, we're in a place now where people get an idea and want to launch it immediately. And that's not how it, if you want to do that, you do it, to each his own. But my recommendation is, hey, let's do some internships. Let's see what this is like. Do you even love this? How long have you done it? So those are some of the things that people don't want to hear.
You know what? And that's powerful because, I'm going to term it something that's called, it's like the mushrooms. The mushrooms is busy being quiet in the dark and growing. And then all of a sudden, poof, there's a mushroom and it's there and it's looking very cute. And most people won't think mushrooms are cute, but work with me. Then there are the people who think, oh yes, I'm going to follow this route where they say I should jump out a plane and build it parachutes on the way down. And that hurts when you land badly. Yeah. So I think the way that you're doing it, where you go, take your time, build your backstory, and also there's something about building your backbone, the foundation that you need to actually get where you need to go. Because if not, you stop. And this is me speaking from my experience where I'd launched something way too soon. It hurts when you hit badly. There's lessons to it, and I know what you mean about not liking the falling. It hurts.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it pushes you back because it takes you a while to recover and start again.
There you go.
So, and keeping on that vein, when you've established yourself, you've launched and you realize, that's not who I want to be. How can one go about recreating a brand? What's the first thing that they should look at?
Yes, and I love that you say that, because that's the whole point for us. What I call doing a slow dance with destiny is what I call it. Because Lillian, I'm telling you, it throws people, because there's the flip of the coin. In other words, I'm saying it's two-sided, because we are ever evolving, aren't we? You know what I mean?
Yes.
We are evolving. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So there's this evolution that comes as we're growing older and going through different seasons in our life. And then there's that, coming out one way, realizing, okay, oh shoot, crap, I shouldn't have done that. I don't even like this, And then it's like, and so there has to be, and I'll give you a prime example. I'm working with a young lady that is known for doing lashes.
Okay.
She is the lash queen in California. And she's like, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm just done. I'm just going to stop. I'm opening up a spa. I'm moving into Hollywood. I'm going to open a spa. That's it. I'm not doing lashes anymore. And I said, okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Now listen, there's a progression, because now you're going to let me walk you through what's going to happen. You're going to cease immediately from doing lashes because you're tired, and you're going to open a spa. The money will stop when you stop doing lashes. You will not have any funds to put into this spa. Are you okay with that? Are you prepared for that? And she wasn't. She just wanted to stop because she was tired. And it's hurting her body. I said, there is going to have to be a way you wean yourself down and then introduce this new side of you. Thanks, it's still related some way from lashes to a full service spa. There's still some sort of way we can tie it in so that there can be a natural progression and you ramp back up into a spa versus just stopping altogether, shutting down the resources and finances you have coming in for this service, and then you'll be able to then get yourself into this place that you want to be, but in this wise way, versus just stopping. And so there's a certain way, depending on what your brand and business is currently, that you can still transition into something else if what you're doing, because this is the kicker, you're successful at something you don't like doing. Now, if you broke and ain't making no money, nobody cares anyway. You know what I mean? That's just your pride. That's just pride. Shut it down. Shut it down. Tell people you go. You're out. You're taking a time off, time out. You're going on a journey. Let people know what's going on, and you're shifting some and reevaluate. Regroup, relaunch. But if it's something you're good at, that's when it can be very hard. You have to take the time to transition. Give yourself a year or so to really start to ramp downward as you begin to introduce something new to your followers. Know that you're going to lose customers. Know that you're going to lose certain people. But there's certain ones that will transition with you. Whereas if you just stopped altogether and cut the relationship off without notice, and then just start something new, people are like, whoa, what was that about? What in the world's happening? So there's a way that you can still transition and add yet another service to what you do versus just stopping. And there are times you do have to stop. So it's a case by case scenario.
And I like that, especially that part of where you're encouraging them to wean their business and then start off and look for where they can relate to what their old business. And it's I think there's something about the Insta culture that we've found ourselves in, that we all want to be instantly successful and not realize that we may need to hold fire before we actually jump into something new.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm literally, I cannot stress it enough, and that's why I said, that time to intern, that time to serve, that time to volunteer, those times are so crucial because we get excited about an idea. We see ourselves on certain platforms. We see ourselves being a household brand. We see ourselves doing those things, and then we just go for it. But the first thing we need to do is find a place that we can get wisdom, find a place where we can kind of see what it's like behind the scenes and kind of be able to test drive the car before we purchase it, and so that's the important piece. It's the same thing when developing a brand, a business, a culture, so on and so forth. You really got to know that, this is what I want to do. And you have to be able to work that through. It doesn't happen overnight.
Coleen, I could talk to you for hours and hours because this is really, really, really amazing work that you're doing here. And it's the fundamentals that every woman in business needs. So let's talk about this. What makes you a standout brand? When we look at your brand, what makes you a standout brand?
So it's the experience. I'm all about the experience. A lot of times people are drawn to what they see online. They love the stories, the different women that we honor in business. And I think what truly allows us to stand out when you work with us and you see that we're results oriented. Fortunately, with social media, you get a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing, if you would let me say. You get a lot of people that are all hype. And so I'm big on how to. And that's it, because at the end of the day, if and we see it, Forbes report it all the time that black women and women of color are the number one growing in the entrepreneurship sector, that we are building businesses and starting businesses. Those are the numbers right now. As
Yes.
far as how many are successful, they have not reported that as of yet. As far as us starting, we're definitely there, but we understand how many businesses fail within the first 3 years, and then how many more fail within the first 5. And so I love to take those things into consideration as a whole, because it's the how-to piece that's missing. It's how do I get funding? How do I pitch my idea? How do I build a team? How do I set up my books? How do I get tax breaks? So it's the how-to that that's what I'm focused on. So when people come to any of our classes, our Monday webinars, that's what we're going to focus on. These are the ways you can do that. These are some of the people we use for this. These are some, and so that is huge.
Okay.
It's huge. And that's what makes us different, is that we are results oriented. And when I say results oriented, meaning that you get results. So when our CEO chicks, our members, those we coach, those we help with branding are getting results, then that's our job is done.
Okay. And that's powerful. Coleen, we had a question coming from Kay, and Kay goes, she's curious, whose branding is one of your favorite examples of doing it right?
Oh man, let's see. So their fashion brand, I could definitely say that's killing it and doing it right, is Fashion Nova.
Okay.
Insane. They pulled a blitz. They seemed like came out of nowhere. I think that's one that I would definitely say is really, really killing it. When it comes to coaching and so on and so forth, and what I do when it comes to women empowerment and brands that I truly admire, I love the two of them, actually. There's one called Create Cultivate and another one called Girl Boss. I really love the way that they continue to feed their followers and interact with their followers. I love information, but more so than information, I love to inspire. It's the combination, of it all, to truly connect with your audience. And so I admire their platform as well.
Okay. All right. So you spoke about being an introvert. We know that this world, especially social media, is an extroverted playground. So how can an introvert really get their story out in this social media dominated world?
I think that's so funny because I'm so comfortable with social media. I'm very comfortable with what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is, I could do this all day. Wonderful. I did radio for years, so it was like, yeah, I could just throw on my hat and show up with crust in my eye and nobody will know. Like, cool, all right. So I guess it can be difficult, but you can work it. That's the thing. You can work it out. You can learn to build those muscles, and just figure out how you're wired and set things up that can still get your message out there, but to where you're still comfortable. So like I mentioned, radio is good for people that are introverts. Audio podcasts are excellent for people that may be introvert. Have someone else manage your social media. Sometimes for someone that's more introvert, like it's easier if they had someone that they perhaps paid a hourly rate to a few times a week to just kind of come in
Coleen, I think we lost you for a second.
and build it themselves. Did I lose you?
Yes, we did, but we're fine
back?
now. Yes, we're
There you
back.
go. Okay, awesome. What I was saying is it could be sometimes easier for an introvert to have someone else come in that handles some of those tasks and help them get out their comfort zone. So I have a client she is such an introvert, and there's a spectrum to be an introvert, of course. She's deeper in the spectrum than I am. And so I have to be present. And when we're recording, it's like we're dialoguing. She's so comfortable with dialoguing. She's so comfortable with just someone being there, versus if she's alone and just has to get online and talk to her Instagram, social media, Facebook followers, she won't do it. She won't do it. So we realize with her, you know what, it's best to have someone there. Okay, let's figure this out, so on and so forth, and record it. And so you just you work out something that fits you so that your voice can still be heard, so that you can bring that value to your audience.
Okay. And these are just powerful nuggets that you're sharing. And speaking of sharing, there's something that you talk about, the iCandy marketing tools that you created. What is the iCandy?
Oh my goodness. Okay. So I was a chubby kid, shout out to all the chubby kids out there. And I'm still a chubby kid. I am still chubby in my mind. Like I literally will pick larges and extra larges, and I was that girl that was always the thickest amongst her siblings and developed fastest, all this stuff. But anyhow, I said all that to say I loved food and I loved candy.
Right.
So going into a candy store is such an experience for me still to this day. And I take that feeling, that concept, that walking in a candy store, all the different colors, all the different smells, all the different textures, the excitement in the room. And I feel like every brand, when someone experiences that, the different extensions, all those, whether it's what can we come up with? So whether it's your website, whether it's your packaging, whether it's, whatever that represents your brand and business as a whole, it should provide some sort of experience that relates to like this eye candy for me, that experience that it was for me. And so it should draw them. It should attract them to it. Oh, let me see this. Let me feel this. Let me smell this. Let me, what is that like? Oh my goodness. I love how this feels, this material feels. I love how this hair, how it doesn't tangle and I can just run my fingers through it, even though it's a kink. Can you imagine like these kinky afros and you walk up to it, you love it, and you can literally run your fingers through it, even though it may look like the perfect afro. You're not getting all tangled in there.
Girl, I want one. I want it. Want it. I want it.
And so that's why the one of my coaches on staff, her name is Donna Moody, Miss Hair Today. She is a beast on social media. She's amazing. And she works with a lot of different brands. And so here last year, she started developing her own brand. So after being a brand ambassador for every African American hair care owned company you can think of, and some
Mm-hmm.
that are just marketing to our audience that are not Black owned. But
Mm-hmm.
she was an ambassador and a face for them for years. And so as she transitioned into doing her own line of hair care products, Donna K Naturals, then, one of the number one things she and I talked about were her videos. And so her video, she started doing videos where she literally is just combing her hair with the products in it. And you can, no music, none of that. And the sound of the comb going through her hair effortlessly got her sales.
Wow.
These are the things that we have to sit back and think of. Why do you buy, and those listening, why do you buy what you buy? Why do you shop where you shop? Why do you eat what you eat? Why do you go where you go? A lot of times we do things because they're Instagram photo worthy now. I mean, there's so many different things as to why we do the things that we do, or someone we admire and like bought that shoe, and so we're going to buy that shoe. Or every reality TV show in America, if you ask me, these Black women that are successful in climbing up the ladder and building their empires seem to all have white Range Rovers. I don't know if it's just me, but they to all have them, So is this the Empire starter kit? Is this a necessity on my list? Do I need to? People will test drive a white Range Rover because they saw it frequently in the show that they watch, not knowing that Range Rover already knew that their a target audience would be watching. So let me give them this car to drive while they're on set, while they're playing this role. Let me, builders, what type of home are they in? I have another great girlfriend that's in media, and she has worked on set from WWE to horror films to reality TV show to MTV, BET. And it's hilarious when we sit down with our girl time and that's not their home. Like, these are homes that are being rented. And I'm not even just saying for our people. I'm just saying in general, when it comes to TV land and the whole thing, like, we're being marketed to.
Of course.
Everywhere you turn. And so that same concept we talked about at the top of the call, that same love it enough to sell it, that same, listen, why do you buy what you buy? And then turn around and operate in that same manner to say, you know what? Okay, if I would purchase certain things because it looked a certain way, let me give that a shot. Rather than wear some Fashion Nova t-shirt, I'm going to put on a CEO chick t-shirt today, and I'm going to put that on with a blazer, my nice red bottoms, and I'll sell t-shirts just because of it. I'll go live wearing my own brand versus someone else's. I'll make sure things are set up a certain way. I'll make sure it's appealing, to the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And so those things matter. And that's what iCandy, that's what it is. That's what iCandy is all about. It draws people. They want to touch it. They want to feel it. They want to experience it. And therefore, they're going to pull out their wallet, get that credit card out, and they're going to make a purchase.
Okay. So let's look at this. You have covered so many nuggets here because this has been like a masterclass, let alone a podcast interview. Guys, if you're just joining us, Coleen has dropped some serious nuggets that we need to start looking at when we're building our brand. It's not just our logos, it's not just our colors, it's not just the website, but what do you want your people who are coming to you to feel? How do you want them to go away from you feeling that they then in turn tell somebody else? And as women, we like to talk. And if we have great service that makes us feel a way, we're going to share it. So how are you doing that for your tribe? So Coleen, this has been really, really powerful. So here's my next question. What has been your biggest lesson around balancing all aspects of you, the entrepreneur, the mom, and the wife?
So I don't believe balance exists. Ultimately, there are things that take priority, and it varies. So there are days I can run down to you, the way my days are even laid out. my weeks are laid out. There are times that we're focused on family. There are times that we're focused on getting things done as far as what we call household engineering day. There are times that we're focused on the business. And so everything has its place, so that you just have to prioritize. There's going to be times that I'm going to be away from the home. I've been gone every weekend except this one. This month up until November, I'm gone at least 2 days in a row, just traveling and sharing and teaching and so on and so forth. And so you just have to know what works for you and your home. That's the most I'll say about it. I think sometimes just when we say we got to balance everything, that in itself is stressful. Like it seems like it's impossible because it doesn't exist. There's just be times that your family needs you more, and so everything else takes a back seat. You know what I mean? And there's going to be times that you're having to look at the kids and say, mommy has to focus on this right now. This is the priority, and find ways for them to get involved in that process. After I get off the phone with you, I'm pulling my children in and we're doing inventory. Mommy's going to pay them $1 here, $1 there, $1 there, and then they're going to clean their rooms. And so there's ways to not just exclude them all the time, from our brand and our business, so that they can understand that this is how life is. There's just this constant way of shifting your priorities,
Mm-hmm. Okay. So balance doesn't exist. You have to know what works for you in your circumstances, and just pick your priorities one at a time.
That's it.
Now, you were involved in one of my favorite shows, and that happened, the Black Gold Rock campaign that happened in 2018. You were the lead stylist. Now let's get some behind the scene conversations. Who was the most fun to dress?
So I did hair. I was a hairstylist. So I was the lead hairstylist for Black Girls Rock. And so we worked with the models. So the actual campaign was shot in Atlanta. So it's not the award ceremony itself. It was the campaign. So the campaign leading up to it is everything that they did to market the actual award show. And so I lived between Atlanta and Orlando for a little over a year, from 2017 to 2018. And so literally just the last month of me being in Atlanta, I got that gig from a friend that called me and was like, you're in town. Oh my gosh, you need to be on set tomorrow. And that's how that happened. And so ultimately though, Queen Latifah was on set, absolutely amazing. A lot of them, yes. If they go to my website, go to Coleen Otero and click on my portfolio, you can kind of see the talent that we had. So we had various women's shapes, sizes, so on and so forth, that needed different looks for that event. Everything was about royalty. Everything was about the crown. That campaign, that was one of my favorite campaigns, and I got a chance to work on it. It was just absolutely amazing. So totally different. They wanted a different direction this year, but last year I loved the crown aspect that they had on everyone. And so it was really, really good working with the creative director. Jesus, what was his name? It escapes me at the moment. It was Solange, her husband. Oh my goodness. But he's so creative. What is his name? I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I have to look him up. But he was absolutely amazing to work with. Being the only stylist on set was kind of rough, running back and forth because the set is huge. You have various things happening at the same time. So there's a main production room where they're recording. Then you have staff right there that are doing editing on set. And then when you walk out, there's several different sets with photography going on. And then there's the room where other people are getting ready. And so I was just running around like a chicken with her head cut off. But it was really, really amazing. And I just had a great time. I had a great time.
Awesome. I believe that was Alan Ferguson.
Thank you. I wanted to say Aaron, but I knew it was wrong.
Listen, the power of Google.
Thank you so much. I was just going to do it when I stopped talking. But yes, he's amazing. Pretty dope, creative.
So you held an event in London, Summer Slay London, which is almost a month till today. And what was Summer Slay about?
Yeah, so it was, we were on tour and we did from several places, different states in America, and then London being one of our first stops on that tour over in the UK. But the entire tour was getting over the summer slump was the reason for it. A lot of times women in business, especially those that are not yet full time, can sometimes struggle quite a bit in the summer months with trying to figure out what to do, family vacation time. They stop. A lot of times they'll just stop altogether working on their business. So the whole idea and brand to Summer Slay, the whole reason for that was for them to still keep it a priority. Don't let your business go to sleep during the summer.
Right.
Make sure that you still include it in your priorities. It may not be at the top of the list, as I mentioned, as far as balance goes, but it may make sure it's still on that top 5 somewhere, make sure that you're still doing things, whether you're in training of some sort, sign up for a class of some sort, making sure you're ready, because a lot of times the summer is where you prepare for the fall, your peak seasons, which for businesses, a lot of time it's the fall and the winter months. And so that was the entire purpose for it. And of course, always networking, meeting different people, being able to see women make connections. It was really funny to me because a lot of the women that I met from the UK market all followed each other online, but had never met. And so one of the jokes in the room was it took this American to come over here for us to meet, and we laughed about it. And then one said, "You know what? That's pretty sad. Like we need to get out more. We need to stay connected more." And I said, "You absolutely do. It's important. Relationships is a number one currency. I say it all the time. I'm truly blessed because of the people I know, and just what the value they bring to my life. And I mean that in just through and through. Like there are relationships that I have that I could not go, what great without them. Like they're on stage with me, and I think it's just that important. How we treat people is everything. And so that's the purpose for all of our events when we get together, is to be able to do what our mantra says, our brand promise, right? Collaborate, create, and dominate.
Awesome. Okay. So is there another Summer Slay London on the cards? That's what people need to know.
So I'm not a repetitious person. We'll be back in London. I'm not sure what the focus will be when we get there. I don't think it'll be summer this time, to be quite honest. It may be spring, it may be sooner, but we're getting it together. In fact, they're wanting me to do a tour. They want me to do Paris and Amsterdam as well. So we'll see. Stay tuned.
Okay. And Paris is an amazing city if you've not done it. And there's some incredible Black women doing some incredible things out in Paris as well.
Yes.
So, my question is, you made a point of an American coming over and before these amazing women got into the room. So my question is this: how can women on both sides of the pond start building international tables? I think personally, it's no longer enough for us to build our tables in silos. We need big, big tables that cross the pond. So what's the first thing that we need to start doing?
I think it's technology, man. I think, what we're doing today, that's it. I believe that's a major part of where it begins. Not being afraid to hear no, or not being afraid to wait. There are times people inbox me. My DM is, especially for CEO chicks, can be insane. And so it's not that I don't want to do an interview or I don't want to connect with other women. It's just a line is starting to form. I'm trying to figure it all out myself. And so, it's taking all those things into consideration, and just starting with where you are. My goodness, it's okay. Like, I feel like we just want to get to the end of a thing from the beginning. And last I checked, I'm not God. It's the process. And sometimes people get overwhelmed with the thought of even going through a process, so they give up. And so it's like, start with where you are. Start with women, buy a ticket. The other day, one of my posts on social media was literally, if you know that God's promise is that he's going to give you dominion and he's going to give you the places that your feet shall tread, would you not purchase your own flight? Why are you waiting for someone to invite you somewhere? Why don't you go? Get your money together, get a flight, and fly there. And so prior to even doing anything in London, when it dropped into my spirit years ago, I said, I need to just go. I'm just going to go. And not only did I go, I went for a birthday trip. Some CEO chicks and some staff came with us. We had an amazing time. We did London and Paris. I launched my book there. And we hit #2 on Amazon's bestsellers of new releases from London. And it's like, you just have to step out. You have to be the one to say, you know what, if God gave me this dream, then I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some sacrifices required to do this. Like, it's not landing in your lap. It's going to take educating yourself. It's going to take traveling. It's going to take uncomfortable conversations. It's going to take, hey, can you mentor me? It's going to take, how much is it for an hour with you? It's going to take, can I take you out to lunch? It's going to take that. It's not just going to arrive because you had a dream about it or you envisioned it. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take steps of faith.
And, to make it very simple, if you have a vision, you have to birth it. And I haven't been to that birthing process, but it's not an easy one. There's stages, like you say. So we have to learn to go through our birthing stages.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it'll be longer than 9 months. It's not a 90-day process. It's not something, you can just throw out at someone else and say, hey, you do it. I even have, customers, money is not their issue. Money, their problem is they want to pay people to do everything. And so and guess what? It still doesn't work. And I sit and I say to them, no, you have to pay the price. And it's not about the money. It's about your development. It's about what happens as you go through these processes and understanding. Before you pay someone, I need you to understand that area of your business so that you can properly hire someone, not just throw money at the first person out of desperation that says, oh, hey, I can do that. Do what? You don't even are they doing it? How can you measure that they're completing the task, And so it takes time. It takes processes. It takes understanding that you can throw money at it all. But when you show up, right? I know people that put money in this and that. Their social media looks great. Oh, you want to buy followers? Hey, whatever. And then they land the job. They land the opportunity. And then when they show up, the content doesn't match the cuteness on their page.
Mm-hmm.
So
and cute only gets you so far.
Exactly. It will only get you so far. And so as a result of that, you have got to build your inner self, your inner man, that development, the way you think, the way you communicate, the different experiences. You should be able to pull from experiences to share, different stories to share, different things you've gone through. I don't want to hear about 5 years ago. What's happened lately? Like, what's going on now? Mm-hmm. Like, where are you at? And so those things matter, and we can't escape that because that's what adds value.
And that's power. You have another question that's coming again from Kay. She wants to know, when do you start handing off some of your more time-consuming tasks to others?
So that's going to be twofold because the time consuming task, oh my goodness, they can be so tedious. And usually at first it comes from, you know, for us, I can speak for myself, it's more so like the administrative things and the emails and the phone calls. And so that's not hard. That you can get a VA to do that, but can you afford it? So that's why I say it's twofold, because people want that, but they can't afford it. And then the other thing is, do you have those processes? Do you know what the processes are like? And so when you're going to hire a VA, there should be some order. So I think for me personally, and in my opinion, you're not ready to hand that off if you haven't been able to place it within a system. And what do I mean by that? So before you bring a VA in, you might have to bring someone in to say, you know what, it's a mess. I need you to help me put it in order so that I can hire a VA. So you may have to find someone locally, get them to sign the proper documentation, NDA, non-disclosure, so on and so forth, and say, I have a budget of, I don't know, $15 an hour, and I can pay you for the next however months, week, whatever it takes, depending on the tasks and things that you have. I can pay you to help me get these things into the proper order so that when I do hire a VA that is virtual, I have things in folders. This is how I respond to this. If someone calls and needs that, this is what they need. So you have to be able to properly educate and train someone in how you need support. And if you can't do that, think about that. If you can't do that, you're not ready. It's going to add to the confusion. It's not going to help make it better.
And this is true. Wow, Coleen, I am, like I said, I could talk to you for hours, but I did say we're going to do 60 minutes today. And what I will love to do, and I know you have a queue of others, but I would love to have you back to interview you again.
Awesome. I would love that. And maybe we can get some video going. I like
seeing... I'm thinking we should just do this on video. We'll talk offline, and then we'll talk about getting you on video.
Yes, for sure. And I look forward to connecting with you when I get there. But there's so many great things going on, and there's no limit. There's no limit. And that's the last thing I definitely wanted to leave with your listeners. There's no limit. Don't put a limit on yourself. There's a saying that I even put at the beginning of my book by Jim Rohn, and it literally is, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. And so a lot of times it's our self-development. It's us being able to not just stop with the limitations that were handed to us,
Yes.
We're supposed to then take the things we learned and go further. So you may enter into this world looking like your mom and dad, but you're ultimately going to leave looking like your decisions, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we have to we got to press into that and grow.
You know what, Coleen? Thank you so much for being on the show. I haven't even had time to even ask you about your So Loud moment of the week. Before we end, we need your So Loud moment of the week.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful, especially, of course, being in that UK market, and an amazing young lady that's our brand ambassador there is Princess Keisha O'Milana. She is she came to the UK market by way of California, by way of Chicago, when she got married to an amazing Nigerian man. And so we connected. Her sister, just like you're interviewing me, her sister does media here in the States. And when I started putting it out in the atmosphere that I wanted to be in London and I want to meet women in London, and I just love the culture, and I think it's just so unique. I love the melting pot and the different women that I meet from all over there. And she put it out there and introduced me to her sister, who now resides in that market. And so I'm so grateful. Again, relationships are everything. Treating people right matters, regardless of what you may see. You never know what they're carrying. And so I'm so excited and grateful for that relationship, because as a result, I'm here with you.
Awesome. So let's celebrate Princess, and let's celebrate building lasting relationships with a huge Round of applause.
Yes, to that.
So once again, Coleen, I am so in awe of you and all that you do. I'm grateful that you've taken time to be on the show today, and I'm looking forward to having you back. Guys, if you need to contact Coleen, she is on social media. She's on Insta. She's CEO Chicks. She is on Twitter. You can find her on Facebook and her website as well. Coleen, just give them your website so that they can find you as well.
Sure, you can go to ColeenOtero.com and you'll be able to find all things Coleen there. So it's Coleen, ColeenOtero.com.
All right, guys, you know how we do. It's a wrap. If you've enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Give us a review on iTunes. Drop us a message on Instagram. Tell us what you like. Tell us if you want to be on the show. We'll love to hear back from you. And if you've loved our guest today, go and show her some love on Instagram and let her know that you've listened and you're learning and you want to find out more. So guys, it's the end of the show.
Thank
You've
you.
been listening to The Shine Out Loud Show. If you want to connect with us or let us know what you thought of today's show, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Shine Out Show.